I get a call one day from my manager who goes, there's some rich guy in New York. Says, woman wants you to do a private party in New York for a billionaire. And I don't know if you've ever done private parties. They're never fun. I said, why don't you just have the woman call me? Let me find out what it's all about. Turns out it's Ghislaine Maxwell. I didn't know who she was. She goes, my boyfriend, and she tells me his name. I didn't know him. He's a big comedy fan. And he wants you to perform. And I said, well, I don't really do birthday parties. She goes, well, Woody Allen's going to be there. President Clinton's going to be there. He wasn't president at the time. Some Nobel Prize winners are going to be there. Jeffrey had an eclectic group of friends. So I said, well, what does it pay? She goes, well, it doesn't pay anything, but we'll fly you in and put you up. You know what? It'll be a nice trip. I'll bring my wife. She goes, no wives. No wives. I said, look, I'll come to the dinner. I'll sit there because I want to meet all these people. I think it'll be fun. Right. But I'm not going to stand up and do stand up. I'll sit there and, I promise you I'll be funny. I know how to be funny at dinner and maybe I'll tell some jokes, but I don't want to be forced into doing it. She called me back. Thing never happened. But 6 months later, Jeffrey comes to see me at one of the Florida improvs. He's a big comedy fan. I think it was in Miami or West Palm Beach Improv because he had a home in Palm Beach.
That's one of my favorite ones.
And he had an entourage of people, no children. He told me to go back and forth to this island. He was a big fan of comedy. Anyway, he came to see me over the next year or two. But anyway, we had a few more dinners, and Jeffrey calls me up one day, and he says, every time I go to New York to play, he would give me this beautiful apartment. My wife stayed with me, and later on, after she died, my girlfriend would stay. But there were a few beautiful women walking around, but older, not teenagers. And I'd say to the doorman, "Is that one of?" Yes, that's one of Jeffrey's girls.
Yeah.
But they were families anyway. So he asked me to put together a dinner and invite some comics. I said, well, for me to be in New York at the same time as other comics, I called Robert Wall. He wasn't around, but Louis Black came with me to a dinner. It was Louis Black and David Brenner, and Woody invited Dick Cavett. And then in the middle of dinner, or as we were ending dinner, David Blaine, the magician, shows up and starts doing magic tricks.
Wow.
Oh, and Jay Thomas was there. And this
Jay
might have been the
Thomas.
second dinner. Jackie the Joke Man Marling and Nick DiPaolo. I think that was the second dinner because Jeffrey loved to be entertained by comics. And Woody had a great time at these dinners. He loved this. And everybody would say to me, Woody's going to put you in something. Woody's going to put you in something. I'll tell you what's interesting. That Jeffrey would, he gave me this apartment every time I went to New York. And, I had to, it's almost like Frank Sinatra going to see Sam Giancana. I had to go and see Jeffrey, and his secretary assistant would call me up because, sometimes Jeffrey wouldn't be in town. She'd call me up and, Jeffrey wants to know if you can stop by this morning for a little while. So I'd go by for like 20, 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes, and sometimes 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He was always very busy. He had a line of people. I don't know if he had girls, whatever. I don't know anything about any of that. But I'd go because he's giving me this apartment. And all Jeffrey would do was ask me the same questions over and over and over about stand-up comedy. So when you're on stage, he was a brilliant man. He went to Harvard.